Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Eileen with Creative Eye Designs, and I'm going to take the next step on my cherry pie cupcake. So first I have, you'll see that there was a part one for this, how I just layered the spackle on my cake and made the faux cherries out of some air dried foam clay. And next I want to paint my cherries. So I'm going to use a primary red in the Liquitex Basics. And let's see. I'm sure that's way more paint than I need, but you never know. So I'm just going to go in here with my red and paint all these cherries, making sure I get into all those little divots that I created. And I'm sure that this is going to need more than one coat. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we will go over this with some sort of a glaze. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do a resin or maybe just use like a triple thick or something to give it a nice sheen. So I'm going with classic caramel for the base coat of my cake. And I'm going to also give this 2 coats. And there will be some drying time in between, so I won't keep the recording going, but I will resume after we get our paint dry. So we have our cherries on top, and I'm going in with the classic caramel for the base coat of my cake. Everything's going to get at least 2 coats, and if it needs more, we'll have to do some touch-up. But 2 coats should be good. Okay, so we did 2 coats of primary red on the cherries, and I did 2 coats of classic caramel on the base of the cake. Now I'm going to go in with some spackle to create my crisscross pie crust over the top. And maybe we'll do that so you can see what's going on. I just took a mixture of Red Devil and Dap Fast and Final and colored it. And I'm going to use the piping tip that's a basket weave. Hopefully you can see that. It's just a basket weave. And I got this at Hobby Lobby, and it says it's a tip number 48. So I'm going to start, I guess, in the center. And I'm going to create what looks like a pie crust over the top. And I did just finish putting the coats of paint on here. And I'm going in with the pie crust before that dries because the wet paint will help the spackle to stick. And there's no going back on this, guys. Once I start, I don't think this is the type that I can scrape off and start over because my paint is wet. Okay. And then I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Hopefully I'm semi-centered. It's hard to tell at this angle. Now you don't have to use a basket tip. You could use a flat, like maybe even a pedal tip. And I thought about doing that, but then I just went in with this. It's kind of my go-to for pie crust. And even though this is a cake resembling a pie, I still wanted it to have that realistic pie feel, if that makes sense. Last one. And now I did use a coupler for some of my piping tips because I'm probably going to go back in with the same color on using the same color. And that's a great tip. And I think this is looking so good already, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Please like, subscribe, throw me some comments. Any questions, let me know. And let's see what tips I have set up. Okay. I have this leaf tip. And it sort of will give a ruffle look. If you can see that. I know it's kind of... But you just sort of go back and forth motion, and it gives you a nice ruffle. And this is just, again, a mixture of spackle. And I used a mix of the Dap and the Red Devil just to give it a better consistency. And I wanted to give this a ruffle on the bottom. Now, this could be a whole fail on this cake because I don't know, once my spackle dries, if I'm going to be able to release that ruffle off of my cake plate. I do have it covered in cellophane. So we're taking a risk here. And I figured if anything, there'll be some sort of way I can fix it. So I'm just going in a back and forth motion, letting the piping tip do the work. And I did add a little paint in this spackle because I didn't want it to be a pure white. So I used the Crafters Collection Vanilla Beige on that. Now, I don't have enough. I was going to put a ruffle on the top as well. I don't think I have enough mix, so I'm just going to go on to another step. I'm going to change my basket weave to another tip, so I have that same color. And I'm going to use a 199, which is very similar to the 4B. It's just like an open star rigidy piping tip. I will need to put more spackle in there. So I changed my mind. I want to use the 4B with that pie crust color. And I'm going to use the other tip to make another design. I'm hoping in between. So I'm just going to take my 4B. And I'm just going to squeeze, come up and down. So just that shell border. And I find the more I think about it as I'm doing it, the harder it is. So I have to just sort of go with it. Oh, that one just squeezed out. That is not good. We're going to remove that. Okay, and let's try again. So squeeze, and you always want to remember to let the piping tip do the work. So I'm just squeezing, coming up and releasing. I'm going to load a little more spackle in my bag. I've seen this design on Instagram and Pinterest, and you know, I love to follow what the real bakers do and try and create it in a fake design, a faux cake. So this was my vision. This is not my idea by any means. But like I said, I do love to get inspiration from the real bakers and what they do, and learning all the tips and tricks with the piping tips. And there's so many videos here on YouTube that you can watch. I'm just prepping my tip, squeezing a little out. Oh, that one just did the same thing. I had air in my bag. Thought I got all the air out, but it happens. And I always just try to do my best to just cover up any mistakes. Don't be afraid to do that. So you can see, you can't even tell. Come up, squeeze, up, come down, release. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Okay, next I wanted to go in with the same type of tip. It's just a smaller one. And that's the number 199. And I wanted to come and do that same technique in between the layers. And I wanted to see that contrast of the two different colors. Pretty cool. Okay, so that's what we have going on so far. And then I was going to use that same 4B tip and do a shell border on the bottom. And, you know, I'm still learning with piping, so it's not perfect, but It doesn't have to be. I'm okay with it not being perfect. I try to do my best, and that's all you can do. Just have fun with it. Just have fun with it. You do go through we'll tell you, you go through a lot of spackle. You can probably hear me loading my bag. And my hands are a mess. We've got spackle everywhere. That's okay. It's part of the fun. Brings me back to when I was a kid and used to love to make like fake pies out of berries and twigs and all kinds of things in my yard. That's what mud pies, you know. Anybody else ever do that? I used to love doing that. It's like once I start, I have to get back into the motion of it. Whoops, that's not good. I have to get back into the motion of it, and that's not always easy to get that feel. Do you know what I mean? Once you have the momentum going. Now, you could use a larger piping bag. That would certainly help. Using like a 16-inch bag instead of a 12. Of course, it was right at the last one. But again, that's okay. We're going to make it work. We're going to make it work. I mean, I think it's looking like my vision of what I wanted. So, let's see. I'm thinking I should go back in with this same color and do the same thing on the bottom. I also want to do some swags. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with that same color, and I'm going to do another shell border. It's looking a little wonky, but it's okay. I think what I'm forgetting to do is come up and release. And that is more of the look I'm going for. And again, because I am piping right over that other color, it's not easy to really scrape off and start over. So I'm just going to go with it. And however it comes out, it comes out. We're not perfection here. We're just creating a beautiful design. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just have fun with it. You know, like look at how wonky that is right there. But that is definitely towards the back of my cake. I'm trying to keep all my seams on the same side, and that's another great tip. Like when you do your piping and you're going around with all these different borders, try to start them all, in the same spot. Like determine what's going to be the front, back of your cake. And that way, that part isn't sticking out. Now, this particular design is not necessarily going to, and with like most cakes, right? You don't really see a front or a back unless it said like happy birthday on it. But I think it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it so far. So I want to also go in, and I guess we forgot to put the light back on. So I think that's better lighting. So I also want to go in and I want to do some swags. I haven't done swags before, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but I'm going to try it with using a petal tip. And I had it here somewhere. I'm going to go in with a petal tip. I'm going to use a 104. I don't know if this is the right tip to use for a swag. I could actually use the leaf tip, but I think it might be maybe maybe we'll try it. Maybe we'll try it. Well, I decided to go back in with that same leaf tip that I used earlier on the bottom ruffle. And it's a leaf tip number 70. I started it already. And, guys, I'm winging this. So I hope I'm going to get around even. Let's find out. And I'm just going to start here up at the top. See if I can get this to show what I'm doing. So I'm using sort of a push and pull motion. I did go in and give another coat of paint in the classic caramel to help my spackle to stick because it was quite dry. Okay, not perfect, but not bad. Not bad. Some swags come down a little further than others, but I think it's okay. What do you think so far, guys? I'm loving this. Absolutely loving it. All right. So maybe I'm not sure. I know I would love to add some ribbon in this, but I don't have the right kind of ribbon. I would love like a red and white gingham, but I only have a wide roll. I don't have a thin roll. The only red and white I have is this. I mean, I guess it could work, but I was thinking, country picnic and gingham, but we might have to just use what we have. So I'm thinking it's going to need a little more. I'm not quite sure what. Maybe little shell borders coming down, like with a shell tip or an open star tip. I'm not sure. Let's see how the open star tip does. And of course, I'm thinking of it to be in this color here that I've used. Not sure. Maybe go with a little bit bigger star tip. We have a number 21 star tip. I'm going to see how that does. We're totally winging this, guys. Totally winging it on the design. So I'm not sure. And I don't have the photo in front of me, my inspiration photo. So I'm sort of just doing what I do, and that's winging it. That's what I do. I sort of just wing it. I have an idea in mind, but that doesn't mean it's going to work out. But I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far. So I am going to go with that open star tip number 21. I practiced a little bit, and I'm going to start at the top, trying to move the camera around so that you can see what I'm doing and I can get a good angle on what I need to do. So I'm just going to press and come down. And then I'm just going to add a little squeeze here, like a star. So I'm going to press and come down. And that is a little off center on that one. We're winging it, guys. Press and come down. And then give it a squeeze for a little star. Okay, again, not perfect, but I do like it. I do like it. So I'm not sure what I should do down in here or in between. I've seen them do like striping where it's done in like the same color as the pie, which would be red, which is very difficult to get red with spackle. You need to do it and then just paint it. So I'm not sure, but I do like it so far. So I think that's it. I'll play along with some other piping tips and figure out what I'm going to do. Maybe just some dots. Could try that. Just add some beads. Every little element just brings in just a little bit more. Got to fix this one here. So that's it for today, guys. I'm going to go back to my inspiration pics, see what more I can do down here. I would like to see some red in there, so I may have to go in and just paint some red. Perhaps I'll make the ruffle red. I'm not sure. But we'll see. So thanks for joining me. I hope that you will throw me some comments. Any questions, let me know. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.